Hi, everyone. It's me, Dr. Angela Celeste May, and I am here today to answer a question from Mr. BBD. About a couple of weeks ago, I'm looking down at my phone. About a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video titled, Ask Me a Musical Question About Singing. And right away, Mr. BBD posted an excellent question. He said, Hello, Miss Angela. One issue I seem to have is breathing while singing. Could you give me a few pointers on how not to run out of breath? So, thank you, Mr. BBD, for that question. It's an excellent question and one that I get all the time. So let me start by saying that it is a very common concern or question that people have, whether they are professional or amateur singer. Let me secondly say that the doctor part of my name is from my PhD in clinical, organizational, and forensic psychology. So I've had quite a blessed career in both psychology and in music. I've been able to do a lot with both, including training other people in both areas. And I say that to say that when people ask questions about singing, no matter what the question, one of the first things I always tell people is that there's a lot of psychology involved in singing, as there is in any kind of performance. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is the way we perceive ourselves, the way we think about what we're doing and how we're doing it has a huge impact on the actual doing of it, on actually singing or doing any kind of art. And that's true for any artist or any performer, whether it's in dance, spoken word, public speaking, all of those are types of performance. So when it comes to making your breathing last and how we breathe as singers, the first thing I tell people is to start with your psychology. How are you thinking about what you're doing? If you have an inner conversation that is sabotaging your ability to get through a particular phrase, then you're going to have a harder time getting through that phrase. So, for example, if you are singing something and you're approaching a particular phrase or part of a song that you know you usually find difficult to get through in terms of making your breath last, if you're telling yourself, oh my goodness, I'm not going to get through this, I'm not going to make it, oh man, this is going to be hard. If you just keep saying that to yourself, you're literally making it harder for you to get through that phrase, not just because you're putting out a self-fulfilling prophecy, but also our body responds to what's going on psychologically, what's going on in our heads. So if you have a self-perception of not being able to, and you keep reiterating how hard it is, even though it's challenging, it really can be difficult, but if you keep saying that, then what's happening is you're starting to restrict your posture, and you're going to start kind of holding your breath. You're going to do all kinds of things. Your body physically responds to what your mind is telling it. So even if it's not a conscious reaction, even if you don't mean to, you're automatically going to start doing things that will restrict your breath because you have an internal script, that's saying what can't be done, I'm not going to make it. If, on the other hand, you change that to, okay, I can get through this phrase. I can do it. Let me try it again. If you continue to be self-encouraging, or as I put it, being your own best cheerleader, that will go a long way towards helping you make it through those phrases. So that's the first thing. Very, very important. Okay, so secondly, that's the psychological part of it. The physical part of it has several different components. So I'll start first with what I would call the three key parts of breathing. And they all have to do with where the breath is coming from. So if you've heard of the term diaphragm before, or breathing from your diaphragm, or what we call diaphragmatic breathing, basically that means you're taking your breath from way deep down into your stomach. You're starting down in the belly. So ideally, you want to start your breath down there, really expand that stomach. I mean, don't just push your stomach out, but take a deep breath. If you think of a balloon, when you fill a balloon, you blow into it, what does it do? It expands. So you want to take a deep breath and allow your diaphragm, allow that stomach area to just fill with air. And if you fill it with air like a balloon, that is the resource. That's the air that you're going to use to blow out when you're singing. So you start down there. Number one, you're down into the stomach, down into the guts. That's the number one spot. Start there. Secondly, of course, as you take the breath in, you're filling your lungs as well, right? So you fill your stomach and you fill your lungs. You let your lungs expand, fill them with air. And then, of course, obviously, it's all coming in through your nose, mouth, preferably nose first. So you're taking a breath in, up in the upper part of your body and from vocal cords into the nose and mouth and all that, right? So if you're taking in air, a good amount of air from those three places, and you practice doing that, then you have a good reservoir from which to breathe out when you sing. Those three places, bottom, middle, lungs, middle, and top. The mistake that a lot of people make is they don't start the breath deep enough. So if you start your breath only here and you're breathing just from your neck, you're not giving yourself enough. If you start a little lower and you expand your lungs, a lot of people are only think from the lungs up and they forget about the powerhouse location of singing and breathing, which is the diaphragm. So if you just start here, you're giving a little more breath, you're expanding your lungs, and that's a little better, but it's still not giving you the real power and control that you would get from deep in the diaphragm. So make sure you start your breath there. When you only start here or from here out, that's what we call shallow breathing. And you don't get enough power. It also can do some damage to the vocal cords after a while when you're just only up here. So keep that in mind. You want to take your breath from deep in the stomach, expand the lungs, and then breathe, sing from there. So that will help a lot also. I'm looking at my notes down here. Secondly, when to breathe. A lot of times people wait too late to take in their breath. So if you're about to sing, you're about to start your song, and you do this. There is blah, 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 whatever the song is. Waiting too late means breathing too shallowly because you didn't give yourself enough time to breathe deeply, to take in a deep amount of breath. So you always want to breathe, several seconds. Time it as you're practicing your songs. Take the time to breathe several seconds before you begin. You don't want to just, okay, happy birthday to you. Let's say we're going to sing happy birthday to you. I'm not warmed up, but if you're going to sing that, it's better to do happy birthday to you. You see how I started? I went and then did it. I didn't do this. Happy. That's a shallow breath. So give yourself enough time to breathe so that you can breathe more deeply. So that also gives you more breath to work with and gives you more control of your breath. And that brings us to the next part, and that is practicing the control or the exhale. These things, they do take practice. But if you exhale on the breath, you took a real good deep breath, you took time, a few extra seconds or several extra seconds to really breathe deeply right before you start. If you then exhale everything out on the first two notes, then you're not going to have enough left for the rest of the phrase. So taking in the breath is key. That's the first part. But then where you take it in and then taking it in, and giving you enough time to take it in, that's the first part. But then taking the time to measure as you practice how much time you'll need on that phrase. That makes a difference too. You don't want to exhale everything out on the first two notes. So if I were to sing, happy birthday to you, and I could keep holding it. Now that took a lot of practice over the years to be able to, really hold it, and keep on holding it. But one of the things I learned to do is not to exhale it all on those first two or three notes. So you kind of learn from song to song, and then you also learn, from just practicing and working on this, how to give enough breath to sustain your music, but at the same time not to overgive so much in the first couple of notes that you don't have enough for the rest of the phrase. The next part is when it comes to letting that breath out, when it comes to exhaling on those notes and, as you sing and give it breath, you really want to use those muscles. Singing is a very athletic thing to do. It takes, when you're doing it right, it really takes a lot of work down into the rib cage, down into the stomach, lungs. You're really giving it something there. So that's important to keep in mind, because that air that you expanded with when you first took in all the air in the lungs and the diaphragm and everything, you want to really use that I'll put it this way. A lot of times people make the mistake of thinking that they've used out all their air when they really haven't. They actually have some air left. So you want to, again, work on practicing letting out your air on different songs and notes and phrases, and paying attention and you can even put your hands like on your rib cage, put them on your stomach, around the sides and front, and really feel those muscles and that air go in. So you can take, phrases. You can just take vowels, like A, E, I, O, U. A. So one thing you can do is practice. You can take a deep breath and just sing A on any note, right? A comfortable note. And put your hands here and just really feel it squeeze in. Now right here I may think I'm done, but there's actually more to go, so feel it squeeze. And I had some more left, so really, again, all these things, just practice, or do it on a phrase or something. And then as you do it, if you're having a particular song or phrase that you're working on and you're trying to last, practice just holding a little longer and a little longer, but always with deep breaths anchored and measuring out. So the last thing I want to say, I said measuring out, balancing, measuring out, but at the same time giving it enough breath. So that all takes practice. The last thing I'll say has to do with your physicality as well, but not the physical part of physical in terms of specifically singing, but rather just physical fitness in general. And what I mean by that is, like I said a moment ago, singing is a very physical endeavor. And I have found for myself that from working out and exercising, working out, it really helps to expand your lung capacity. So the more lung capacity you have, the more cardiovascular fitness you have, the more power that you have to be able to give breath to the singing that you're doing. So I hope all of that was helpful. I do teach private vocalists and pianists. I do teach music. And I also coach fellow professionals as well. So if you're not in my area, I would encourage you to, anyone, I would encourage you to consider private voice lessons if you're able to in your area. Find someone that you feel is reputable. Some people do, they're just like with everything else with the pandemic. There are lots of people who have gone virtual. So that could be an option as well, to take virtual lessons. Ideally, I think in person a lot of times is good because your teacher can assess your posture and all of those things I didn't even mention as well. There are other aspects too. How are you standing when you sing? Are you cutting off your breath? Things like that. Making sure you don't have you have soft knees, as we say, and that you're not blocking off your air. So there are other things involved as well. But if you're able to, if you're interested and you're able to touch base with a reputable, a good vocal teacher, I encourage you to do so. But in the meantime, I hope this helped give you some ideas and some direction with making your breath last. Comment below. Let me know what you think, what your response is. Anyone else who has had run into issues with breathing, what has worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, comment below. Give a thumbs up to this video, and most definitely, please do subscribe and support as I continue to work on bringing positive, helpful content to you. God bless. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and also, if anyone else, same question remains. Ask me a question. My question is to ask you to ask me a question. Ask a question, any question that you have about singing and about music in general, actually, if you like. Feel free, comment below. Anyway, as I was saying, God bless, take care, and stay safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.